Facebook made approximately $1 million every minute, and most of this through Facebook advertising. By slowly lowering organic reach on Facebook pages over the years, businesses now understand that to use Facebook successfully, they have to pay to play. And fortunately, Facebook's advertising offering is second to none. In concept different than Google Ads, but in execution pretty much the same. Where Google Ads are intent-based, Facebook ads are more about awareness and serving people the right ads with the right content during their buying journey. Facebook ad campaign structure, ad objectives and targeting. Well, let's start advertising on Facebook, shall we? Well, it's easier said than done. There are many people who have dipped their toe in the advertising water, but they don't get out of it what they expect to get. Why is that? Facebook advertising seems so simple. Well, there may be various reasons why they're not successful. But in general, it comes down to a lack of understanding of the different components that play a role in digital advertising, whether it's Google Ads or Facebook ads. Facebook advertising can be your Formula One car, but it comes down to fine-tuning every component that makes the car run. So let's have a closer look at some of the Facebook advertising components. Here is some jargon that you will come across when you advertise on Facebook, and many of these terms are standard within the digital marketing space. I won't cover every one of them, but let's just highlight a few of the important ones. As you will see in this lesson, digital advertising is often split into three components: the campaign, the ad account, and the ad. For each ad you will have to set an objective, and these objectives could be things like conversions, impressions, mobile app installs or clicks. You also have to decide which target audience you want to reach. You can create your custom audience, or you could even create what we call a lookalike audience. You also need to decide on the placement of your ad. Will this be on the Facebook newsfeed, the mobile, or within a video? And finally, you need to decide on the budget of your campaign. So let's start with the basics. Each Facebook ad implementation consists of three components: the campaign, the ad set, and the ad itself. The campaign can have multiple ad sets, but it only has one objective. In the ad sets, you define things like the targeting, the budget, the schedule, the price, and the placement. And then within an ad set, you can have multiple ads, which are the creative posts that you want to promote. When you create an ad on Facebook, you will be guided through three stages of your ad campaign. And we will show this later. The first thing you will have to do when you want to start advertising on Facebook is to set up your ad campaign. An important part of this is to define your advertising objective. And Facebook will guide you through this. Facebook will tailor the structure of your ad to the objective that you've set. For example, if you select to promote your page as an objective, your ad will be optimized to get more likes on your Facebook page. You will then be guided to create your ad set. It will tell Facebook how to run your ads. Here you will decide on the targeting. You will look at things like location, gender or interest, and you will also set details of how much you want to spend, when you want to pay for an ad placement, and where you want to place your ads. And then finally you will create your ads. You can pick different formats for your ads, and you can add images, video, text and call to action buttons. Often people have multiple versions of their ad in an ad set, so they can test which one performs best. So let's have a look at the different objectives you can set for your ad campaign. They can be grouped in three categories: top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, and bottom of the funnel. With the funnel, we mean the sales funnel, which typically goes from awareness to interest to desire or consideration and to action or conversion, also known as the AIDA formula. Top of the funnel objectives aims to generate awareness. These ads will try to give you the biggest reach and brand awareness. Middle of the funnel objectives aim at turning awareness into interest or consideration. These ads are geared towards driving engagement and traffic and can include things like app installs or video views. And finally, bottom of the funnel ads are geared towards conversions, where you can get people to register, to download, to purchase from your catalog or to visit your store. Here are some ads that have an awareness objective. This is about making people aware of your business or show them the value you can offer them. Targeting is an important aspect of these ads. You can go as far as showing your ad to those people who are near your local business. Here are two typical consideration ads. Often these ads have a goal to find new customers. These can be ads to get conversations with people on Facebook Messenger or lead generation ads to get people to sign up for your newsletter, for example. Finally, some examples of conversion ads, who often are aimed at driving sales or very specific actions like getting people to use or to download your mobile app. The next thing I want to introduce to you in a bit more detail is Facebook's targeting that you can do when you create your ad sets. This is one of the most powerful features of Facebook advertising. You can create three types of audiences for your ads: a core audience, a custom audience, and a lookalike audience. So let's have a look at these in a bit more detail. Core audience targeting takes place when you go through the standard ad creation process in Facebook. You can target people based on demographics, on location, interests, or certain behaviors. You can create custom audiences as well. You can import your existing customers through their email address. Facebook will check if they used this email for signing up at Facebook, and if they did, they will add them to your custom audience list. Or you can target people who visited a certain page on your website. This is also called retargeting or Facebook pixel advertising. We will talk about this in great detail later in this training. Finally, you can also create custom audiences based on mobile app usage, type of engagement, or offline activity like visiting your store. Finally, Facebook can create a lookalike audience for you. It will do this by taking an existing audience and then find people who share similar characteristics in a different location, for example. This is a great way to expand your reach for Facebook ads. Facebook ad placements, ad formats, and budgeting. So there are two areas where you can advertise. On Facebook, Instagram or Messenger, or off Facebook on the so-called audience network. There is a wide variety of options when it comes to placements for your ads on Facebook. By default, Facebook will manage the placements. It will optimize this in such a way that you can get the biggest return on your advertising spend. But if you feel confident, you can plan your own placements. For the audience network, you can also leave that up to Facebook. You just specify the categories and the interests. But again, if you want to, you can even specify the websites yourself. The Facebook audience network consists of thousands of websites and mobile apps where Facebook will place your ads. This can give a much wider coverage of your ads. Advertising on the audience network works very well for retargeting ads. Now that you've selected where you're going to place your ads, you're going to think about how much you will spend on your ad campaign and when you want to run the campaign. The budget module will do two things for you. You will plan your overall spend on the campaign and how much you want to bid for an ad placement. Facebook decides on when to place your ad based on various things, like quality of the ad, consistency with the landing page, but also based on the bid you put in for the ad. The bidding is a process where Facebook looks at all the ads that are competing for a position. It then looks at the highest bidder and they will get the first option to place the ad. This all happens in nanoseconds and we will talk more about this later. And once you've agreed your budget, you are going to schedule your ad. Again, you can leave it up to Facebook as long as you give Facebook a start and an end date. Or you can decide yourself when to show your ads. This allows you to schedule your ads around the online habits of your target audience. Bear in mind that Facebook will not start your campaign until it has approved your ad. In the digital marketing world, there are in general two ways you pay for your online ad. They are known as PPC and PPI. PPC stands for pay-per-click, PPI stands for pay-per-impression. The name says it all, as long as you understand the basics. With PPC, you don't pay for showing the ad. You pay once somebody clicks on the call to action button. PPC gives you the extra benefit of free awareness. But PPC is more expensive than the other type, PPI. With PPI you pay per impression, often per 1000 impressions. So you pay for every time the ad is presented on somebody's feed, story or video. But remember, this doesn't necessarily mean that they have seen the ad. Now let's look at the ad creation. There are various ways you can create your ads. If you are experienced in using Facebook ads, you can go to the quick creation mode. You decide on what stage of the creation process you want to work on. If you're a beginner, you can use the guided creation. In the guided creation, Facebook will guide you through each phase, step by step. You can of course create multiple ad sets within your campaign, and you can even upload your campaign ad set and ad data through an Excel file. This is particularly handy if you manage a lot of ads. There are many types of ads. Without going into too much detail here, we will do this later, there are some ads you need to be aware of. There are lead ads, dynamic ads and link ads. Lead ads are only for mobile and allow you to add a data capture form so you can get people's info. Dynamic ads are put together based on somebody's behavior. So when somebody visits your product page, you can retarget that person with a dynamic ad showing the product they saw on your website. And there are link ads, ads that drive people to your website, for instance. Here are some other ad formats. Image ads and video ads. They speak for themselves. Make sure your images fit both desktop and mobile. And don't forget the text in these ads, still very important. Also think about your video programming. To show multiple pictures in your ad, you can use slideshow ads or carousel ads. Slideshow ads put the photo or videos in a slideshow. You add the text and the sound and off you go. Carousel ads allow you to rotate 10 photos or videos within your ad. And the power of these ads is that each photo in the carousel can have its own link. Collection ads allow you to showcase products from your catalog, and the instant experience ad is an ad specifically for mobile devices. The benefit is that you can link a mobile landing page to your ad to enhance the branding experience. And finally, there are ads specifically for Messenger. These are great to drive people from Messenger to your website. Facebook ad performance, testing and tools. Once Facebook has approved your ad, and more about that later, it will start running as per the schedule and budget that you've set. Within Ad Manager, you can see the detailed results of your ads. You will see how many people saw your ad, how many people clicked on it, and how much you've spent on the campaign so far. You can see the results at campaign level, ad set level, and ad level. When the ad runs and you see the first results coming in, it is important to constantly check the results and see if you need to make some adjustments to the campaign settings. Facebook will decide on the placement schedule based on your settings, but remember, you can always make adjustments yourself. To summarize, the elements that you can change that can impact the performance: you can fine-tune the target audience, you can fine-tune the ads, or you can change the bid. Let's expand a bit on fine-tuning your ads. It's a common practice in digital marketing to test and experiment with your ads to find the ad that will give you the best performance. We call this split testing or A/B testing. It's a process of creating multiple versions of your ads with slight variations. Variations in the text, in the image, the color or the call to action. You then run each ad for a certain period and then you check which ad gives you the best results. In the campaign settings, you can select A/B testing for your ads, so Facebook will do the process for you. You can also look at what we call attribution. Typically, the value of an ad is determined at the last stage of the sales cycle, when people buy. But there are more stages. When people click, when people add info, when people put a product in the shopping basket, when people go to the checkout, and so on. With attribution, you put a value to each step. And in doing that, you can truly measure the effectiveness of your campaign. Facebook has options for attribution, and we will cover that later. Facebook also has a tool called Test and Learn. It's a tool that will help you in testing and analyzing your campaign by asking you a set of questions about your campaign. When your ad campaign is completed, you need to pay Facebook. They accept many standard payment methods. Now you also understand why you need a personal Facebook account to create your Facebook page. Because the person who owns the personal Facebook account usually is also the one who holds the credit card or bank account to pay. If you spend a lot of advertising with Facebook, like more than $10,000 per month, you can pay through monthly invoicing. To help you in each stage of the advertising creation process, Facebook has lots of tools available. Creating your Facebook ad. In the early years of Facebook, their revenue came from flyers. These were purchased by students or small local businesses who paid anywhere between $10 to $40 per day to target an ad to a specific college campus. Much has changed since then. Facebook is now one of the dominant online advertising companies on the internet. One of their key differentiators is how they have been able to translate user requirements into a simple user interface. This is all about design, structure and usability. Of course, Facebook had Google Ads as a reference, but they were able to turn a complex process into a very simple process. Facebook Ad Manager. The Facebook ad interface is very easy to understand. It is built around the three elements of your ad campaign: the campaign, the ad set and the ad. You can either choose for quick creation or for guided creation. In the campaign section, you set the objectives. In the ad section, you decide on audience, placement, budget and schedule. And in the ad section, you decide on the format, the media and the creative of your ad. If you click on the hamburger icon on the top left, it will take you to the Ads Manager menu. This is where you have access to many additional tools you need for your ad campaign. Some of the important ones that you will be using regularly are Audience Insights, Creative Hub, Ads Manager, Ad Reporting and Analytics, and Audiences. To create a Facebook ad campaign, you go from your Facebook page on the top right and you click on the Create Ad. And as mentioned earlier, here you will see the three steps that you need to go through in creating your Facebook ad. The first step is creating your campaign, the second step is creating your ad set, and the third step is creating your ad. Now in your campaign settings, you look at things like your campaign objectives, the name of the campaign, and if you want to run tests for the campaign. In your ad set creation, you select the audience, the placement, you look at your budget and when you want to run the campaign. And in your ad creation, you look at the format, the identity and the media that you're using in your campaign. So let's look at the objectives of your campaign. These are all the objectives that you can set for your ad, and they are organized in awareness, in consideration and conversion, or as we talked earlier, the top of the funnel, the middle of the funnel and the bottom of the funnel. Important is to remember here that based on the objective you select, Facebook will give you a certain ad template. And some of the features or ad types may not be relevant for that particular objective. So let's look at the awareness objectives. There are two types of objectives here: brand awareness objectives and reach objectives. Now, brand awareness objectives, they make more people aware of your ads. So you can reach people who are more likely to pay attention to your ads and increase the awareness for your brand. And then you give it a campaign name. Now, you may want to go for reach objectives, and with reach objectives you want to show your ad to the maximum number of people. Yep, you can then also look at the consideration objectives, and there's quite a few objectives that you can choose from. You can look at traffic, where you can send people to another place, like on or off Facebook, like your website, or an app or a messenger. You can look at engagement objectives, where you can reach more people who may engage with your page or your post. You can look at app installs, where you get people to download your app from the App Store, for instance. Or video views, where you can raise awareness about your brand by reaching more people that can watch your videos. You can look into lead generation, where you can reach people who may fill in a lead form. Or you can do specific ads around messages, where you promote conversations with people in Messenger to, for instance, complete a purchase or answer questions or offer support. We can also look at the conversion objectives. In the conversion objectives, you can look into plain conversions, where you get people to take valuable actions on your website or your app or in Messenger, like adding a payment or making a purchase. And you can use the Facebook Pixel or app events to track and measure these conversions, and we'll come back to that in later lessons. You can also create an objective around your catalog sales, where you can create ads that automatically show items from your catalog. And then finally, you can set objectives around store visits, so you can promote multiple business locations to people who are nearby your store. So lots of things that you can select when it comes to your objectives. And then the next thing you do, you set a name for your campaign. And by filling in your campaign name, you also need to think about the strategy that you have for your naming. If you run the odd advertising campaign on Facebook, it doesn't make that big an impact. But if you run lots of ads, you may want to put some sort of a logic in your naming for your ads. So use product variables or target variables or location variables. And then you're going to decide whether you want to do a testing of your campaign, a split test, or an A/B test. So you create two versions of your ad, and you're going to test one version for week 1 and the second version week 2, and you check which ad gives you the best performance. And you can also look at budget optimization. You can set a daily budget, and you can set your campaign bid strategy. And there's advanced options here as well. So you can set the scheduling. You can run the ads all the time, or you can run the ads according to a specific schedule. And you can also look at the delivery type. So you can go for a standard delivery for your ads or an accelerated delivery. And with a standard delivery, you basically let Facebook decide what the best delivery schedule is for your ads. Or when you kick for an accelerated delivery, you let Facebook spend your budget as quickly as possible. Now that you've set your campaign objectives, the next thing you're going to do is to create your ad set. And there are 3 elements in your ad set. There is your audience creation, placements, and budget and schedule. So let's start with the audience creation. The audience creation is the area where you basically pick the target market that you want to reach with your ads. And this is where Facebook is really powerful, and it's also a really cool area to work with, because you can specify to the minutest detail the people that you want to target by location, by age, or by gender, by language, or by interests, or the type of connections that you have with them. What you also see here on the right is an estimate of the audience size and the daily reach you will get based upon your targeting criteria. You can also pick a saved audience, and we'll come back to that in the next lesson, where we're going to look at the different types of audiences that you can create in Facebook and that you can use for your advertising campaign. But let's go into the basics first. So you can select by location. For instance, I can say in the United Kingdom, or just give me by city. I want to select London. And then it gives me here London, England. And then I can also specify everyone in this location, or people who live in this location, people that recently were in this location, or people who are traveling in this location. So this could work really well for your store to target people who are nearby,
or for your event. Yep, so people that are attending your event, so you can target them with your advertising as well. Here you can pick the age, so let's say we're going to target men between 18 and 30 years old. And then we're taking the man in London. You see now how our audience size has shrunk to 1,800,000. And then we're going to look at the detailed targeting. We're going to look at interests, or we look at behaviors. So one interest could be football. I want men that are interested in football, but I can also add other elements. So I can say, make it Arsenal. So I can say, do Arsenal Football Club. So I can now target all the men who are interested in football and in Arsenal Football Club. So very likely I'm picking the Arsenal fans here, and I can then target them with my campaign. I can ask suggestions as well. So when you pick the selections, then Facebook will come back to you. They'll, okay, maybe you also want any other of these suggestions. So here, for instance, I can actually pick football fans. Yeah, and then again, you see how your audience size would be adjusted based on the selection that you made. You can then also look at your connections. So by, for instance, your Facebook page, people who like your page, friends of people who like your page, or you can exclude people who like your page if you want to approach new fans. So as you can see, lots of targeting options within Facebook to make sure your ad reaches the right audiences. Then you're going to the next section, and that is placements. There's two options: automatic placements, or you can take care of the placements yourself. When you pick automatic placements, you basically let Facebook decide for you where your ad should feature, and that's the recommended option. There's also the edit placements, and that will basically allow you to decide yourself where you want to place your ads. And it's good to go through this because it shows you the different options that there are for your ads. You can have it on mobile or on desktop. And then here you see all the different platforms where you can place your ads. You can place it on Facebook in all these different areas. You can place your ads on Instagram, in the feeds and in the stories. You can also place your ads in the audience network. And the audience network is a network of thousands of websites where Facebook will place your ads. So those ads will not appear on Facebook or on Instagram, but on the network of websites that Facebook has relationships with. And you can decide which website you would like to pick for that. And then you can also place your ads in Messenger. You can also specify the different mobile devices, whether it's Android or iOS. So that could work really well if you, for instance, you have an iOS app which is not available on Android. Then here you can decide where that you will only want to feature your ads on the iOS. And you can also look at excluding content and publishers. So here you can say, don't show my ad on these websites or in these articles, for instance. Once you've completed this section, you're then going to your budget and schedule. The basic settings are what is your daily budget or what is your lifetime budget. And then the schedule, you can say run my ad set continuously starting today, or set a start and an end date. Yep, so that's where you can decide how you want to run your ad at what budget. But there are also advanced options that give you more options. Yep, so you can decide on your bid strategy, when you are charged. So I only see here that I can pay by impression because you want as many people as possible to see your ad. But when you click, for instance, traffic, that you want people to drive them to your website, you can then also pay by click. Yep, so instead of 1,000 impressions, you would pay when somebody clicks on the call to action button or the link in your ad. You can also decide on your ad scheduling and also on the delivery type. And we talked about that earlier. It can be standard delivery or accelerated delivery, where Facebook will get your ads posted and Facebook will run through your budget as quick as possible. So those are the settings in the ad set, and the next step is that you're going to go into the ad creation module. Now that you've completed your ad set, you're going to turn your focus to the ad creation. And there are 4 elements in the ad creation. You're looking at the identity, what business are you using to represent the ad, what's the format of the ad, what are the media, like the photos and the videos that you will be using, and what is the text that you will use in the ad. So let's look at this in a bit more detail. In the identity, you're basically going to connect your ad to one of your Facebook pages or to an Instagram account. So that shows you then what business is represented for the ad. You're then going to move to the format selection of the ad. And there are 2 main formats. There is a single image or video style ad, and there is a carousel style ad where you can have 2 or more scrollable images. And thirdly, there's also an instant experience, which is a mobile ad, but that includes a landing page that will pop up when somebody interacts with your ad. And that's where you can get details from the customer. If they want, for instance, a voucher, they may enter their email detail or their contact details. So let's have a look at the single image video ad in a bit more detail. If you select that, then here you see choose 1 or more images, a video or a slideshow, and that's where you can have up to 6 ads with different images. And Facebook will use those ads, and if you select testing with the ads, then Facebook will test the different ads so you can check which ad will give me the best performance. There's an interesting new feature in Facebook advertising where you can turn images into videos. And there's some templates in there as well, so I can show you if I can take a square template or a vertical template, and here you see how that would look like as an ad. So it's all about driving engagement and making your ads visually more attractive, and Facebook has lots of options for you to make that as easy as possible. So that is your video ad or your photo ad, and then below here, by the way, you see the preview of your ad, how it would look like. And when we're going to add text, you'll see how that would work as well. I also want to show you the carousel ads. I really like the carousel ads. In the carousel ads, you can add multiple photos in which you can tell a story, in which you can have multiple products that you could feature. You could also take one large photo that you would chop up in 4 or 5 photos, and you would scroll, as it were, horizontally through those photos. They work really well. So use that as an option if you have like a product catalog, or if you have larger photos that can really enhance the viewing experience of your ad. You can then add the instant experience. We talked about that as well. Once you're happy with the style of the ad and you uploaded your photos, and let's say we're going for the single image video ad, you would then see how the ad would look, and then you're going to enter your text. Yep, and that is a skill in itself. Yep, and in this course you will find various sections where we'll give you tips about the type of text that you may want to include. You got to keep it simple, you got to make it very powerful, you need to have clear call to actions. People really like free stuff, like promotions, so amplify that in the text of your ad. Other good thing that people do in the text of the ads is use referrals, for instance. Let your customers talk about how good your product. Then you can add various components, so you can have background colors, you can have the website URL, and there are some advanced options as well that you have here. You can have different parameters for your URL, which is basically, it will be added to the website URL, which basically means that you could track the URL in your Google Analytics as well. And then you can set up conversion tracking for your ad as well, and we'll talk about that in more detail in the next lesson. Now here you see a very important aspect of the ads. When you submit your ad, Facebook will review your ad and will check the text, will check the image, will check the landing page. And if the ad is not good then and does not comply with the rules and the regulations, then Facebook will not approve your ad, and you will get a message, and then you will have to change the ad. One of the most important rules in the ad is the 20% text rule. So your image may not have more than 20% text. And here you see that my ad may reach slightly lower because there may be a little bit too much text of the ad. Facebook will not outrightly decline your ad, but it will basically give you a slightly lower reach if your ad has too much text. And there's more about this later in the course. So then basically when you're ready, you click confirm, and then your ad will be uploaded to Facebook. And then of course, Facebook wants the money. So you then need to enter, if you haven't done that yet, you will have to enter your credit or debit card information so Facebook can take payment.
Facebook ad, images and text. Facebook has a really nice ad images cheat sheet. In summary, it's all about being interesting with your image, being focused, exciting, consistent and fresh. And most important of all, make sure there is a connection between the image and the message. Here are a few more tips on using images in your ads. To highlight a few, show people, use faces of people, make sure your images are high res, keep it simple, use one call to action. People love free stuff. Use location-related graphics. Use the psychology of color. Now let's expand on this psychology of color. Here are some thoughts about the psychology of color. Try using these in your ads. When you want people to buy, use red. If you want to grab attention, use yellow. If you want to be seen as a trusted partner, use blue. And so on. Lots of ideas for your ads. The final section in your ad creation is the ad text. Here you will also get an ad preview on the different devices. You can even set a background color for your text. In the advanced options you can set tracking parameters and conversion tracking via the Facebook pixel. Facebook also created an ad copy cheat sheet. To highlight a few of them, tie your text to the visual. Speak to your audience. Keep it short. Mention price when relevant and include a time frame when relevant. Facebook ad review process. So up till here, we looked at ad setting objectives for your campaign, targeting the right people, deciding on budget and placement, and created the ads. We're ready to run the campaign. Now, hold on, not yet. Next, Facebook has to approve the ad. It will look at the text, the image, and even the landing page, and it will evaluate all this. It will check if the ad complies with Facebook's advertising policies, if the text is correct and not too dominant, and if the ad is consistent with the landing page from a messaging point of view. Usually, Facebook approves your ad within 24 hours. If it's not approved, Facebook will tell you what's wrong with it, and you have to change the ad accordingly. You can then submit it again for approval. There's always been a lot of buzz around Facebook's 20% text rule. It basically means that your ad can't have more than 20% text in it. Here you see where you find the text in your ad. There's the body text and there can be text in the image. These are the elements that Facebook will check. It's not a rule set in stone, but it's a good guideline. The general principle is that ads with less than 20% text tend to perform better. Here are some reasons why your ad may not pass. There's too much text in the image. You're mentioning Facebook in the ad, or you're breaking the advertising policies like age restriction or alcohol ads or prohibited subjects like gambling. There are two ways of targeting people for your ads in Facebook. You can do broad targeting and specific targeting. With broad targeting, you let it all up to Facebook, and the Facebook's delivery system will make sure that your ad will go to the ideal audience. When you want to be in control, you can go for specific targeting. You can do this by giving Facebook a set of targeting parameters to find the best people to show your ad to. Broad targeting would be ideal for awareness campaigns, where you target generically with a very broad geographic area. Specific targeting can work very well for local businesses. When you go to the audience section in the ad set creation of Ad Manager, you will first see your broad targeting options. You can start with selecting an existing or a saved audience, and more about this later. But if you start from scratch, you begin with selecting the location, age range, gender and language. On the right, you will see the audience size. This is based on your targeting criteria that you've just entered and Facebook market data. It can also be influenced by the budget you set. Note that you can include multiple locations. If you scroll down, you will go to the specific targeting section where you can define your audience by interests or behaviors. This is where you will find the real power of Facebook advertising. This is where you can zoom in on micro-communities. But before I go into showing you how to select interests or behaviors, I want to introduce you to Facebook Audiences. Facebook Audiences enable you to create even more specific audiences based on a variety of criteria. You can go to Facebook Audiences when you click on the hamburger menu at the top left of your ad manager. Underneath the Assets header, you will see Audiences. And when you click on this, it will take you to your Audience Manager. Once you're in the Audience section, you can see that you can create an audience and you see a list of different audiences you've created earlier. You can also see that when you click on Create Audience, you can create 3 different types of audiences. The 3 audiences you can create in Audience Manager are Custom Audiences, Lookalike Audiences and Saved Audiences. Custom audiences can be created from lists that you already have, like your email list. They can also be created from people visiting your website or people engaging with your mobile app. Lookalike audiences can be created based on a specific customer audience. Facebook will look at people with similar characteristics and turn them into a lookalike audience. Saved audiences allow you to specify your own segmentation and behavior criteria. You can save these and reuse these audiences for different ad campaigns.
Facebook has a very powerful tool that can help you manage your audiences. In the Ad Manager, if you click on Audiences under the Assets, it takes you to the Audience Manager. And on this screen, you see a brand new feature that you can include lifetime value of your clients in creating a custom audience. Yeah, or you can go into creating the 3 audiences or the 3 audience types that Facebook lets you create. You can create a custom audience, a lookalike audience, or a saved audience. So let's have a look at this in a bit more detail. To go through the process of including your lifetime value of your customer, you click here on the Get Started, and then you go through a whole process of adding the customer file, choosing the customer value, then you can map the data from your customer file, you can upload and create a lookalike audience. So that is one aspect of the custom audience creation. What I want to show you is the 3 main areas where you can create audiences. That is the custom audience, the lookalike audience, and a saved audience. So let's start with the custom audience. These are the people that have already shown an interest in you. So they are an ideal source to target. And they can be brought into Facebook into 2 ways. You can either upload customer data through a file, like a CSV file, or you can capture people's data when they take a specific action, like visiting your website, opening your app, or even visiting your store. So there's different ways that you can create these custom audiences. So the most simple one is to create an audience by uploading your customer data in an Excel spreadsheet. And that could include email details of your clients. Facebook will then check if these customers use this email to create their Facebook account. And if that's the case, they will be put in a custom audience. So that's one area. So the next area is to create an audience through capturing people who visit your website. Now we call this retargeting, and in Facebook terms this is also called pixel advertising. This means that when somebody visits a particular page on your website, you can capture that person's detail in a custom audience and then target that person with an ad. For example, if somebody visits a product page on your website and put a product in the shopping cart and then decides to not buy the product and leaves your website, you can then target him on the next day with an ad to remind him or her about a product that they wanted to buy yesterday. Technically, this is very easy to set up. Facebook will give you a specific piece of HTML code, and we call this the pixel code, and you can add that code to the HTML on the web page that you want to use for this. It's like you add a pixel to the page that will be activated when somebody visits that space. And that's why we call this pixel advertising. So you would give the pixel name, you would give the URL of the website or the web page, and then you basically create the pixel. Pixel is there created, and then you can install the pixel on your website. And when you click on install the pixel, you see 3 different ways that you can use this pixel. You can connect it through a third-party platform like Magento or Shopify or Google Tag Manager. You could take the code and install the pixel code yourself, or you can email the instructions of how to install the pixel code to your web developer. To show you what the pixel code looks like, very straightforward. Here you see the code. You would copy that code and then you would paste that in between the header tags on the web page that you want to activate the pixel for. So that's how you would create a custom audience for people that are visiting your website. Now there's other areas as well. There is app activity. Yeah, in app activity you can use the same concept of pixel targeting based on activity on your mobile app. But to do this you need to set up an app event, which we will discuss in the next lesson. You can also target people with offline activity like visiting your store. And again, you need to set up an event for that, which we will discuss in the next lesson. And you can also create a list of people who engaged with your content. For instance, people that watched the video, filled in a lead form, had a full screen experience, had a look on your Facebook page or looked at your Instagram business profile, or have interacted with an event that you had on Facebook. And again, these are all people that you can target, and then as soon as they complete one of these actions, you can then put them in a custom audience. So that is the custom audience segmentation that you can do. The next audience that you can create is a lookalike audience. When you create a lookalike audience, you take an existing audience that you've created, and then you're going to add a different location. And you can estimate the audience size as well. And then Facebook will create a similar audience, but based on the different location and maybe with slightly different segmentation criteria. Yeah, so this works really well if you want to run, for instance, campaigns in cities in your country. Then you create one segmentation criteria or various segmentation criteria, but you can change the locations and replicate the audience by creating different lookalike audiences. And then the third audience that you can create is a saved audience. In the saved audience, you recognize this screen. It is a similar screen that we had with the standard Facebook ad creation when we were in the ad set and we looked at the segmentation of your audience for your ad. So you can pick an existing audience, you can change the location, you can look at age, at gender, at languages, and then here you have your detailed targeting. And that is similar targeting capabilities like we've seen in the ad set creation. But the power of using it here is that you can save the audience and that you can then reuse that audience for different ad campaigns. Once you've created your audiences and you go back to your audience manager, you will see that you've got a list of the audiences that you've created. And that has the name, it has the type, it has the size, and whether the list is available or not. So now you can select them for specific ad campaigns and you can edit and duplicate them. And saved audiences are very useful. They will save you time in the ad set creation and reduce errors in your targeting. And they're also easy to change, so they come in handy when you want to test and experiment your ad delivery with different audiences. But bear in mind that size of the audience is very important, because when the audience is too small, Facebook cannot work with it. So Facebook prefers a minimum audience size of 2,000 people.
Facebook Analytics. There are limitations in the reports you are getting in the Facebook Ads Manager. They are limited to the ad campaigns and the conversion events you've created. It only shows you the results once a campaign has gone live. And it certainly won't give you analytics in relation to your Facebook page or the customer journey. To bypass this problem, many marketers use Google Analytics, particularly for getting insights on the sales funnel and the customer journey. But the problem with Google Analytics is that it doesn't track the Facebook pixel. Facebook has recognized this and introduced Facebook Analytics. It's the Facebook version of Google Analytics, and it brings together all data from organic and paid marketing activities on Facebook. You can access Facebook Analytics through the Ad Manager. It will give you a Google Analytics style dashboard summarizing your organic and paid marketing activities. On the left, you have a menu of options to choose from. Facebook Analytics could be a 2-day course in itself. There are so many excellent features in it. It allows you to analyze how people move through the sales funnel by measuring actions on your page, your app, your website. You can analyze how people use your products over time. You can create new audiences based on audience analysis in the percentiles section. And you can analyze customer lifetime value by tracking what customers spend over time.
Hi there, if you like this video, subscribe to the Simplilearn YouTube channel and click here to watch similar videos. To nerd up and get certified, click here.